5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
All right, hello again, everybody, and welcome. Patrick Johnson Show. We've got Doug Martin coming up in a little bit. We'll talk college football, talk ECU, and the win against UTSA. We'll also get into the Charlotte 49ers coming up this weekend for the Pirates. It'll be a 3:30 3:30 kickoff time with 12:30 airtime on 94.3 The Game. With our pregame coverage for the Anson Belt and Buckle Pirate Game Day Countdown presented by Orthopedics East. Myself, along with Joe Sampson and Philip Pilkington, who is producing the show today. Pilk, I guess 12:30. We're not going to do anything at noon. Did we ever determine that, or we're sticking at 12:30? That's the time for the weekend. That's at least when I'm going to begin. So,
yep, 12:30 is what I'm told, and we do have Miss Hardy on the phone, by the way.
Okay, so we'll get to coach you just a little bit. Got some other things to touch on today as well. Let's go to the phones to start here with Grace Ann Hardy, who is with the city of Greenville. She has been out at Ignite Church today, where many more have brought donations to go in our East to West fund drive that is going on in relief of Hurricane Helene, the supply drive that is happening. And we got on the screen from the other day some of the things that they need. Obviously, water and canned food and even manual can openers are still very much on the list. They are in the process of filling up another trailer. So, Grace Ann, thank you for being with us. Really appreciate it. Wanted to get the very latest going on this effort out at Ignite Church.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are on our 5th truck right now. We had 3 trucks go out today. We had a U-Haul go to Black Mountain, a tractor trailer to Spruce Pine, and another tractor trailer to the town of Lenoir in the western North Carolina.
The East Carolina baseball team, I know, was out there today, and other volunteers as well. How is that going as far as having volunteers to help you sort? Is that still something that is needed? I actually had someone today ask me, would this be going on in the next week? Their work prohibited them from doing anything, unfortunately, this week. But they were saying or asking me, did I know would there be this initiative going on in the next week, because they had, I guess, through their work, some volunteer hours that they could do and are encouraged to do. I at least I know through tomorrow you guys plan on keeping this going. So is there a need, though, for people to, if they have time tomorrow, to come out and help from a volunteer perspective?
Yes, absolutely. So we are welcoming volunteers tomorrow and on Friday. We're not sure about what next week will look like, but we will be here until Friday, until 4 p.m. And mentioning the baseball team, we wanted to thank them. They showed up and they were here and they were working and they were excited about working. And even with they came in and without little instruction, they were on it before we could even tell them what we needed them to do. So we really appreciate them, Coach Godwin and Coach Blackman. We wanted to thank them up here.
Awesome. Let's get to then what are some of the things that are needed. Obviously, water, canned food, certain items for sanitation and bath items and that kind of thing. What else is on the list right now? Because it's kind of an ever-evolving list from what I understand.
Right. The number one thing that we really need is baby bottles. We've had a lot of formula and diapers and wipes come through, but and we still need those things, but we really need baby bottles. We need some first aid kits, still non-perishable food, and rehydration powders.
Okay. And this is a pretty professional packing deal. There are pallets, and I know some moving companies have brought some items, so it's a pretty good operation you guys have there. Is there anything in the way of that, packing materials or anything along that? Is there still, or do you feel like you guys have a handle on people to drive? I know earlier in the week a lot of people were offering drivers up and that kind of thing. What is the what's the kind of the latest on that as far as the transport goes?
Yes, so we've been really blessed with a lot of people calling and offering to volunteer to go down there to donate a tractor trailer, a U-Haul. So we do have a list of names that we're trying to get to. So we should be good in that department, but it never hurts to call and offer, or to call and ask if there is still a need for that. So if anybody does want to call and reach out to us, they can.
Okay. What would be the best place to direct them then? To call who? Call the city? Call the church? What would you? I might have thrown you a curve there, but what's the best place?
No, you're fine. The best person to call for that would be Donnie Hardy, and his number is 252-353-0472.
Okay, 353-0472. Donnie will answer. Donnie always answers. So
yes,
he's one of the driving forces. Yeah, but he's going to pick up that phone. He'll get back to you one way or the other. We've got Grace Ann Hardy with us here from the city PIO at the city, and she is one of those that are out there. And tomorrow from 9 until 4, Friday from 9 until 4, the hurricane relief supply drive will go on. And a lot of people logically have questions. You all there on the ground at Ignite, be it through the city, be it through fire and rescue, be it through police, whoever, you're in touch with Western North Carolina, so you know what areas you're sending that specific truck to in every instance. Yes, from what I understand. So people that have kind of wondered, are you just willy-nilly? No, that's not the case. This is at Ignite Church on Bayswater Road, just off of Fire Tower. It is down from Champions Fitness, so you can go there. And again, this is going on, we're told, now through tomorrow and Friday. Is there anything else you want folks to know? I think there's been maybe a QR code that's been set up for people that want to give money. That's been something I think there's been a lot of clamoring to do, is people to donate money towards this. Where might someone find that, or what would you recommend at this point for monetary gifts?
Yes, so if you want to make a donation online, if you go to any social media through Ignite or Greenville Fire Rescue, I think even the city of Greenville has shared it. There is a QR code that you can scan, and it'll pull up the page where you need to fill it out if you want to make a donation online.
Awesome. Great stuff. Grace Ann, thank you very much. And just to reiterate, all the items that have been needed, baby bottles are specifically needed, and they will be trying to fill. Is it a fifth trailer? Did I hear that correctly? A fifth trailer right now is being filled?
Yes, sir.
At this moment.
Yes, sir. We are working on our fifth trailer right now. Yes, sir.
Amazing. And this will be going on from 9 until 4 tomorrow, and 9 until 4 on Friday. It'd be great to maybe send another couple trailers out there with supplies. What an amazing effort to mobilize this. Grace Ann, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time here this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Yes, sir.
All right. Nice to have Grace Ann with us here. That's tremendous news. And we're glad that is part of what is going on right now. So that's some good stuff right there. Let's hit a quick Pirate report here to shift gears and get back into the sports side of things. Of course, we're getting ready for East Carolina and Charlotte. It was announced today, too, by ECU Athletics that they were going to be having some collection areas at upcoming sporting events, including the volleyball game on Friday night at home against UTSA, including the swimming competition that is coming up this weekend, the homecoming football game. So they'll have points of collection to collect their own non-perishable items and other items to send them out to the western part of the state. You can go to the socials or to ECUPirates.com and check all of that out there. But for the here and now, we're hearing from Coach Houston, and he talks about his message for the team to go 1-0 this week.
Well, the big thing we got to keep our focus on is, going 1-0 this week. Last week's over and done with. Same thing we said last week this time. Can't do anything about that one. Can't do anything about the one after this weekend. So your whole focus is whatever it takes to go 1-0 this weekend. That's kind of the mantra that we've had week to week this year.
More from Coach Houston, who says that they have to prepare for all three quarterbacks that Charlotte has used this year.
We got to prepare for everything. So, we've got film on all three of them. And, similar situation last year when you're unsure about who you're going to have, so you just got to prepare for whatever comes at you. So the kids are focused in on that.
More from Coach, who reflects on the maturity of Luke Larson, the Pirate punter.
Well, I think he's just, he's playing like an experienced veteran. And, he's calm and cool under pressure. We had the deal where Tarpey, I don't know if he was in La La Land or something, and he was late getting on the field for that field goal the other night. And, Luke would have gotten the snap off. I called the timeout because I didn't want to rush everybody. Luke was calm under pressure. Now, a few years ago, maybe he wouldn't have been that calm. I don't know. But it's good to have a guy out there that has composure.
We'll hear more from Luke Larson coming up this weekend on our Anson Belt and Buckle Pirate Game Day Countdown. It is brought to you by Orthopedics East, 12:30 on Saturday on 94.3 The Game. Coach Houston, on the composure of the AAC Specialist of the Week, kicker Noah Perez.
I saw the same guy that I've watched for the past couple of weeks in practice. I think, and he's been the same this week. And I think that, says a lot about him. He had his opportunity, and we talk about it a lot. Be ready. Everybody in the room, I talk to them every year. You got a bunch of kids in here that they're frustrated. They're not starting. They're not playing as much as they want to. And I just keep on reinforcing to them is, you're going to get your shot at some point. Every player in our room, there was a day when I got my shot. In college football, you got to be ready when you get your shot, because you may not get a second shot, but everybody's going to get a shot. And if you're prepared and you've done the work and you go out there and you perform, then more power to you. That's fantastic. I'm really proud of him.
Charlotte has had a lot of injuries this year. Coach Houston was asked today about the health of the Charlotte program.
I don't know what their roster looked like before game one, but they've got a lot of guys playing a lot of snaps, and they've got a lot of guys that have played, whether it's there or somewhere else. They've got a veteran bunch, particularly up front on both sides of the football. Doesn't look like they're missing much. The quarterback is the obvious, but if he's back, then I would say they're at full strength. But they're a good football team, so we've got to make sure that we're at our best on Saturday.
And then Coach emphasizing the freshmen to become more mature through time.
That's the thing with being freshmen. I talked to Jamarli, D-Money, all those young guys. I talked to them before the season started, and just about if you're going to play, then you've got to really, really be on it, because we can't afford for you to go out there and be a freshman on the field. And that was a freshman moment. Thank goodness it didn't cost us, and that's why I told him later, hey, it didn't cost us. That's what I've been talking to you about. You can't take a play off or anything like that. Now, our big focus this week in practice is, we hard counted the punt return team a lot, because we got to do our part as coaches to make sure that we can't assume that they're all going to do what we say. We got to put them in those situations during practice. And so we've tried to do a better job with him this week, but it was a great learning lesson for him also.
All right, that is Coach Houston on our Pirate Report. Reminder that we will be on tomorrow at 4 o'clock, as we are every Thursday through the Super Bowl, and that'll be the Patrick Johnson Show here on 94.3 The Game. Great show tomorrow. We're going to have D.H. Conley football coach Nate Connor. They have a big game against Havelock at home this weekend. And we'll also have best-selling author John Feinstein's got a book coming up on Mike Krzyzewski, so Coach K will be the focus of John Feinstein's next book, and John will be on the program tomorrow to talk about that. Looking forward to having John on. Right now, a timeout, and when we come back, we'll head down to the coast where Doug Martin will be joining us on the Patrick Johnson Show.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Pirate game days, there's nothing like them. The atmosphere, the tradition, the matchups, the magical finishes. Be a part of Pirate Game Days. Season tickets are as low as $115. Reserve your seat today to be a part of the experience of Pirate Game Days at Dowdy Ficklen Stadium this fall.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Have you noticed he's in his own little happy hour? We're back to the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
This is the Happy Hour program.
Here's the P-Man.
Okay, welcome back. Nice to have you with us. And a reminder, we'll be on it for tomorrow, as we are every Thursday. And coming up on Friday, Coach Logan will be with us, and Joe Sampson will also be on the program. That's coming up Friday on the Patrick Johnson Show here on 94.3 The Game and the IBX Media app. Let's go now to Emerald Isle, and we've got Doug Martin, one-time ECU offensive coordinator, college football coach, joining us here. Coach, great to see you. How are you?
I'm well, Patrick. How you doing?
Doing really well. Great to have you on, as it always is. I am wanted to start. They have the 99 team in. You had a family obligation, let's just say, this past weekend, so unable to make it. Otherwise, I know you would have been there. But I know you talked to Coach Logan, and about 4 dozen or so guys from that 99 team were back in town this weekend, and were honored during the game between quarters. So really nice moment, and I know you're really proud of a lot of guys on that team, and Coach Logan especially has relayed to you that he was quite proud of where those guys are in life right now.
Yeah, no question, Patrick. That was really. I mean, we had several teams obviously during that time that were really, really good, and that team was really good. But there was a lot of special young men on that team, and listen to Steve. One of the things that really impressed him about them over the weekends, all of them just telling them what they're doing now and how successful they've been, and their parents, and they're raising kids, and it's just great to know that you had some type of influence on those guys. I would love to have been there. I actually had a sick grandson in Winston-Salem, so we had to get there for a weekend, but I would have loved to have been back and seen those guys. But more important than the way they played and the games they won are the young men that they've grown up to be now. And I know Steve was really proud of them.
Well, the current edition of the ECU team got a victory against UTSA. They win 30-20. I thought defensively in that game, even though they did give a couple of big plays up the screen, and then they had a guy had him stopped 4th and 1, but the back broke loose for UTSA. But I thought defensively, the defense was a lot more physical than what they were at Liberty. What did you see?
Yeah, I think, defensively, East Carolina is a good football team on defense, and they're going to have to be, because that's the strength of their team. Offensively, they struggle, and so their defense is put in some bad situations at times. They're on the field a lot, but they've done a good job defensively, actually, of scoring points this year too, to help the offense. So I thought they played better. I thought they played fast, they ran hard, they got to the ball, they created some havoc. When they pressured, they got home. I think that's only going to continue for them defensively. They got better last year as a defense as the season went on, and when you watch them this year, I think they're getting better again this year defensively as the season goes on.
When you look at the contribution they got for special teams, and we heard a couple comments from Coach Houston in the last segment from when he had a media availability today. Luke Larson, who's almost your age as the punter, and then you've got the kicker Perez, who actually made some field goals, which is you love it when the kicker does their job, don't you, Coach? So I think that unit has, on the whole, done pretty well. And I try to, in talking to you especially, look for different things than just follow the ball in a lot of these, games now. And to me, their coverage and then their execution on the return game in special teams has been really, really solid this year. Are you seeing the same thing there with Coach Powell's influence?
Yeah, no question, Patrick. And those are field position issues. It's hard as an offense to have to go 80 yards to score all the time. You need, your defense to get a turnover and give you a short field, special teams to give you a short field to really help you, especially if you're struggling on offense like East Carolina is. That's really a big deal. So, I think the special teams, and obviously having a kicker that can make field goals, I know that's been a struggle in the past. Nobody loves a kicker more than an old offensive coordinator. I'm gonna tell you, those guys are valuable now. And when you get to the 30-yard line and you've got a field goal in your pocket because your field goal kicker's a good player, it can change the way you call plays. It actually can make you a little bit more aggressive. And so those are all positives that they've got going for them, the defense and the special teams.
So with the offense, Coach, in your opinion, as we're talking Pirate football and college football with Doug Martin this afternoon, do you think that is it just the concept of what they're trying to do? Maybe is it trying to do maybe too much within the offense and they need to, I won't say dumb it down, but maybe dial it back a little? Is it, personnel? Is it maybe not making adjustments? I'm not trying to get you to throw anybody under the bus or make headlines here, but I mean, you know a thing or two about quarterback play and calling plays. So what are you seeing from this? Is it just the growing pains of this offense and a new coordinator? What do you think?
Well, all offensive schemes, whether it's wishbone or spread or air raid or whatever you do, they all have strengths and they all have weaknesses, Patrick. The key is to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. I think East Carolina is just right now, I don't know that they've gotten better offensively as the season's gone. In fact, they haven't improved as the season's gone on. I think they've got some good players. I like Garcia as a talent. He throws a nice ball. He's accurate. I really think he can do some really good things. But I think the system is limiting him right now, and probably the style of offense is limiting him right now. When you're in that 4 wideout deal all the time, there's never a tight end on the line of scrimmage. You don't really have a lot of different pass protections. It's hard to hold up versus different pressures. And that's the one thing you and I talked about a couple weeks ago. I said, they're going to have trouble. They don't handle pressures very well. Well, UTSA lit them up. I mean, they really came probably 70% of the game. UTSA was bringing 5 and 6 man pressure, and East Carolina had no answers for that. And whether that's in their scheme or whatever it is, they didn't have an answer for it. And so once that's on film, everybody else is going to do the same thing until you prove you can handle it. So, they definitely got to make some improvements there. But, they're not running the ball well, so that puts a little more pressure on the quarterback. Obviously, the turnovers are a problem. That puts pressure on everybody. The pressures, the blitzes, they just don't handle that very well. And then you look in the red zone touchdown percentage, I think it's like 36%, which you're not going to win a lot of games if you're not scoring touchdowns when you get down there. So those are the areas where, as you go through the season, you'd like to see your offense get better. And, for whatever reason, and I'm not there, I don't see them in practice. I don't, I wouldn't judge them that way without seeing them, but those are the things they're struggling with.
Winston Wright and Anthony Smith, a couple of receivers that have some big play capability. They are the transfers that are in. Smith kind of broke out, had a 50-plus yarder. Wright had a catch. I mean, so I would also, suggest that from a standpoint of catching the football, by and large, there's some talent there for the Pirates offensively.
There is. I think they've got some skilled kids who are pretty good. There's no intermediate passing game, though, Patrick. The run after the catch is not there very much for them. They've hit some fade routes versus man coverage, which that's good, but those aren't high percentage plays. You've got to be able to get the ball in the receiver's hands quickly to take some pressure off the offensive line and let those guys run after the catch. You can create all sorts of pick plays and things like that to help receivers get open and all those type of things that, make you better. But they don't seem to have an intermediate passing game. It's either something really deep or it's a screen, and there's not much in between. They throw a lot of hitches and things like that, but you're not going to beat anybody doing that. So that's the area where offensively they've got to get a little bit better, because when you're playing teams that are going to pressure you, the ball's got to come out quicker, and you've got to complete those passes and get the yards after the catch.
UTSA, and you sort of touched on it, had as a really good defensive front. Tough to run against them. ECU could get nothing going on the ground game. Charlotte is not as good, but Charlotte has been pretty decent against the run this year. So when you've looked at the 49ers on film, particularly from what they present defensively, and as you say, it's on film what ECU struggled with, so you would think Charlotte's game plan would be geared towards that. But it's a banged-up team. What do you notice about the 49ers as you look at them this season?
Yeah, I will say that they've got some good-looking athletes. And, defensively, they're a little farther along than they are offensively. They really struggle on offense. I mean, they're not a good offensive football team. But defensively, they've got some guys that can really play. They can run. They make plays, but they're on the field a lot. Their offense doesn't help them very much, and they kind of get worn down as the game goes on. I would expect to see them do the same thing. They'll try to pressure East Carolina a lot. You stop the run game by putting 6, 7, 8 people up there in the box, and that's what UTSA did. You can't block all those people, so that's why you've got to be able to throw the ball versus the blitz. So unless East Carolina proves that they can do that, they're going to see the same thing at Charlotte. They're going to line up and play man coverage as much as they can and try to bring the same amount of pressures because they have issues on offense too. They need to get field position to score. I don't think they will be able to score many points on East Carolina's defense.
You say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. What if you're Charlotte and you have 3 quarterbacks?
Yeah, and theirs has been different because it's injuries, right? I mean, it's
right.
If you're going back and forth because it's how they're playing, that's a problem. Injuries, that just happens. I mean, I've been in those years too where we've had to play, 3 and 4 quarterbacks. Well, last year in Memphis with the Showboats in UFL, we had to play 3 different quarterbacks, and that gets rough. So the injuries are a whole separate thing. I just think offensively, they're very predictable on offense. They just don't do a whole lot. I'm not sure they're really well coached on offense, and they're vulnerable there. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna hit a break. If you can hang with us, Coach, and Pilk's gonna do an update, and I want to ask you about some other games from last week, some games this week, and a couple of teams that for the first time since the 1940s are a combined 8-0. So we'll ask Doug Martin about all of that when we come back. But right now, Philip Pilkington with a sports update.
Thank you, P-Man. Starting in Pirate Athletics, it was announced earlier today that the Pirate Athletic Department will raise items for the Hurricane Relief Fund. They have picked 4 sporting events. It is Friday's volleyball game against UTSA, Saturday's home swim meet, the soccer game that will be played next Thursday against South Florida, and the home football game against Temple on October the 28th. You can come and donate non-perishable food items as well as some other basic needs for those hurt by Hurricane Helene. Pro Football Focus released a mock draft today that had Pirate cornerback Savon Revel going at 25th to Washington, despite his ACL injury. A lot of other mocks have had him falling out of the first round due to that torn ACL. The Carolina Panthers practiced today without a handful of key players, including linebacker Josie Jewell, outside linebacker Jadeveon Clowney, wide receiver Deontay Johnson, cornerback Troy Hill, and defensive lineman Sean Robinson. All did not practice. The Dallas Cowboys will be out wide receiver Brandon Cooks for at least another week as they travel to Pittsburgh on Sunday night for Sunday Night Football. Cooks is dealing with an infection in one of his knees, and his timetable is unclear. Looking at baseball, the Detroit Tigers are piling on the mound. They have just swept the Houston Astros, who have been to 7 consecutive ALCSs. Obviously, their postseason has come to an end. The hands of the Tigers, who have not been to or won a playoff series since 2013 when they made the ALCS and lost to the Red Sox in 6. The other Major League Baseball game going on right now, Kansas City Royals lead the series and the game 1-0. The game is in the bottom of the third up at Camden Yards against the O's. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. More with former Pirate OC and college head football coach Doug Martin on the other side of this timeout.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Hey Glenn, let's talk about a new program at Greenville Nissan.
Sure, sometimes bad things happen to good people, like credit hiccups.
Greenville Nissan just rolled out credit forgiveness.
If you've been making consistent car payments and you're tired of that high interest rate, this program is for you.
Get into a new Nissan with a manageable payment and keep that cash in the bank.
Come visit us at Greenville Nissan and drive your Nissan home today.
Hurry, this program ends September 3rd. Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arr!
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Taking the rage out of your drive home?
You just cut me off! But it's no big deal.
Patrick Johnson on 94.3 The Game and the new IBX Media app.
All right, welcome back in. Doug Martin has been good enough to hold with us here. We got him for another segment, and Coach will talk some other college football. For the first time since 1945, both Army and Navy are 4-0. It'll be Navy at Air Force, and they're actually a 10-point favorite this weekend there. Army at Tulsa. They're a 12.5-point favorite this weekend. I would say, at least Vegas believes they're both going to go 5-0. I don't think it's going to happen, but we're looking at a possibility, and that's maybe all it is, even as remote as it may be. They could play in the championship of the American, and then would turn around and play that non-conference game the following week. I don't think it's going to happen, but boy, what a start from both sides. Why are they both 4-0? How are they doing it?
Well, they're both really, really well coached. And Naval Academy really has made tremendous strides in the short amount of time they've had this head coach. But they're scoring a lot of points. Both these teams, offensively, they're scoring points. And in today's college game, the rules are all made for the offenses to score. I mean, everything really is against the defense right now, rule-wise. So, I mean, you got to be able to score points if you're going to win efficiently, and that's what they're doing. They're both playing pretty good defense, that was as much as an academy can. They're never going to have a huge defensive front seven and those type of things, but they're really well coached. They move their defensive fronts. They move their defensive guys around to give them a chance to make plays. But more than anything else, they're possessing the ball on offense. They eat the clock up, but they score, Patrick. I mean, so, when you're playing them, you're playing Army or Navy, when your offense goes on the field, you better score points because your possessions are going to be limited. You may only get the ball, 5 times for the whole game. So you better score points when you get it. And if you don't, and they get ahead, man, that clock, it starts to grind away in a hurry.
Pirates will be at Army in a couple weeks, so 3 weeks actually. That'll be interesting when they head up there for the first time in several years. It was Duke rallying from 20 down and defeated North Carolina. Malik Murphy was terrible for the Blue Devils in the first half. The offense did not look good. Duke, I guess, started to run the ball with some effectiveness in the second and started to put points on the board, obviously, or put enough points on the board to beat UNC. And then UNC's tackling was fairly atrocious. Duke 5-0. How about that? They'll be at Georgia Tech on Saturday night. And you've got North Carolina in one of those noon games against undefeated Pitt. But when you look back at that game, it's a nice win for Manny Diaz. And the Mac Brown thing seems to be kind of slowly coming to an end.
Well, really good win for Duke. They've had a really light schedule, just to be honest. And obviously North Carolina is not a great team this year either. North Carolina they can't play defense. I mean, and they're not scoring points this year. Usually they could outscore people in the past, but now they're not doing that. So they're really exposed. But, great start for Duke. This will be really their first test to go play Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech's a really well-coached team on both sides of the ball. They're unique on offense. They're different than most other teams, so harder to prepare for. Yeah, I'm with you. North Carolina, I mean, there's just so many problems there right now. It's you're probably looking at an overhaul of that program.
Yeah, interesting. We've got Doug Martin with us here, Bama, Georgia. So I cut it off. I'm tired because I'm old, so I went to bed. And then you come back the next day and you watch the, highlights or clip up of the game, and Georgia made a heck of a comeback. Alabama winds up winning. Everybody's kind of, all right, Georgia lost, Alabama's back. But I think Georgia showed a lot in coming out of that hole and making it a game and taking the lead late.
Yeah, that was a great college football game, because both teams, there's like 2 heavyweight boxers. I mean, they're both throwing haymakers at each other. And for Georgia to come back from, 21 down at one point or something like that, I mean, and get back in that game and take the lead was remarkable. Shows the championship team that they are. But Alabama had answers, and I would say this, and I've harped on this all year, Patrick, in college football. There's so very few teams that are actually developing a quarterback and coaching a quarterback well. And both of those teams do. And Alabama especially, Milroe has really, he's come light years with this new staff. They've obviously given him more to do. He's embraced a new offensive scheme. But, you can tell that he's just really well coached. He's comfortable in what they're telling him. He's got a lot of confidence. So they're definitely coaching him and developing him in the right way, because he's one of those guys, he keeps getting better and better and better as the season goes on.
Doug Martin with us on the Patrick Johnson Show. All right. How can I leave this off? How about your Kentucky Wildcats knocking off Ole Miss?
Yeah, they weren't mild cats. They were wild cats this week, right? You've been mild cats at times. No, I was really happy. Mark Stoops is a good friend of mine. I've done some consulting with them to help them a little bit in the past, and that was a great win for Kentucky. They're really struggling on offense this year. They're not scoring a lot of points. So to go and shut down Ole Miss, who's been probably the highest scoring offense in the country at one point this year, but I mean, they had a great plan. Same thing. They brought a lot of pressures, got in their face, played man coverage, and Ole Miss couldn't handle it. And so, great win for Kentucky, and happy for the alma mater. They needed that one.
Ole Miss will try to bounce back this week, 9-point favorite at South Carolina. Speaking of games going on this weekend, really in the top 25, the only interpol matchup would be Missouri at Texas Tech. That's a nooner on the ABC this weekend. Does that tickle your family? I mean, look, Missouri's number 9 right now. So, I mean, that's kind of quietly. They've had a fantastic year.
Yeah, I think they had one game here earlier on. I can't remember who they playing. They kind of struggled. Vanderbilt. They kind of struggled with Vanderbilt and didn't score like they usually had. But they've been a really good offensive team. Every week they're outscoring people and putting a lot of points on the board. And then their defense gets to go play with abandon. Once you get that lead defensively, man, then you can start to come after people. And that's what Missouri's doing. And again, great coaching job by that staff that's been there and built that program from scratch, literally. So, they're going to be something to reckon with in the SEC.
I might have said Texas Tech. I meant A&M if I said Texas Tech there. Again, I'm old and I'm tired, so I want to take a nap. Doug Martin with us here. Let me ask you about this Big Ten SEC alleged scheduling alliance. The big punchline from this is the Big Ten, who would struggle to find 4 teams this year that really are playoff worthy right now, at least. And the SEC, which maybe has 6 that are probably playoff worthy, you can argue, and may get that many in. They both want to get guaranteed spots into the postseason, into the playoff. 4 spots guaranteed. Where is the rest of college football in any of this? I can't imagine the ACC and the Big 12 aren't trying to band together right now with the remainder, the G5 or whatever the hell we're monikering them this week, and saying, enough of this. This is nonsense. 4 guaranteed spots.
I would say that those conferences you're going to start to see more and more of this, Patrick, because now with the 12-team playoff, the strength of schedule really means something now. And so for, a Big Ten team to play a MAC team, it does no good for them. Why they would ever play a MAC team and just pay them a bunch of money to beat them up makes no sense anymore. You've got to go play somebody that's pretty good to get wins, to get your strength of schedule up, to get in that 12-team playoff. And I think that's why you're seeing the conferences band together. There's going to be less and less of the power conference playing the group of 5, at least the upper echelon power conference teams. The Northwesterns and Boston Colleges and those type of teams, they'll still play the group of 5, but you're going to see the top teams, Ohio State, Alabama, all the top teams, they're going to quit playing group of 5. They're just going to focus on their strength of schedule.
All right. One other game that is coming up this week at noon it's on the CW, and the NC State fans cannot believe this. But it's Wake Forest at NC State. I know Wake has got a murderer's row schedule. This is an interesting game because Wake always plays State and Carolina and even Duke really, really tough.
Yeah, I think, Wake is having one of those years. And obviously, my son's on the staff there, so I'm a little bit attuned to them. But they have just been ravaged by injuries, and it's been really disappointing because they probably had one of the best defensive teams, talent-wise, that they've had in the last couple of years. And the front 7 has just been wiped out with injuries. And they lost their running back last week. I don't know if he'll play again this week, and he's the best thing they have going on offense. They do have a transfer quarterback that they've done a great job developing. He's starting to make plays for them. They're scoring some points, but I just think overall, team-wise, they're not anywhere near where they hope to be, and most of it's been because of the injuries. So I think they'll play NC State well, and NC State's kind of been up and down, but Wake is really having a hard time this year.
A couple of moves yesterday in the conference shuffling. Gonzaga goes to the Pac-12. That's a basketball and all sports move. They don't have football, obviously. And so UTEP now headed to the Mountain West. We've talked about UTEP on here before. Is that a little better fit for them geographically, the Mountain West for UTEP? Because they're in Conference USA. It just always seems like they've been sort of the sore thumb in the Conference USA and whatever leagues they've been in here the last few years.
Yeah, it is definitely a better fit for them. UTEP, the problem UTEP has is where they're located. I mean, I don't know how many people have been to El Paso, but you literally can throw a rock across the road and hit Juarez, Mexico. So, I mean, You're right on that border. You're right on that border where there's a lot of issues and a lot of things going on. And so it's a tough job. That's one of the things that really makes it a tough job. But that will help them being in that conference. Now they're not having to travel all the way across the globe and into different time zones and those type of things. They're in the Mountain West, probably be a better home for them. Basketball, they really do bring something to you there. They've got a national championship back in the old days and got some pretty nice facilities in terms of that. But football's always been a struggle there. It's a lot like New Mexico State. Those two schools are, I think, about 28 miles apart down there. So both of them have struggled a lot geographically just because of where those schools are placed.
They got a nice stadium, though. Sun Bowl's a nice, pretty nice little deal out there. But you're right, getting there is, you never think you're going to get there. Even when you were 28 miles away, you probably never thought you were going to get there. So.
You look out that plane window, it looks like you're traveling across the moon. There's not a tree within sight, man. There's nothing but desert.
Hey, Coach, thanks. Always great to talk to you. We appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you next week. Enjoy the college football weekend. Is there anything else we didn't touch on that you wanted to make mention of? I know you pay attention to a lot of different things I don't ask you about, but is there any team or any player that kind of stood out, or are we good?
Well, I think in the ACC, the team, still keep looking at is Miami. How good are they going to continue to get? Are they going to keep getting better? Is that quarterback going to be consistent enough for them to be a national championship type of team? They'll be one to be interesting to watch.
They are at California, at Cal, Berkeley on Saturday night. So that'll be a late night
and Cal
deal.
Cal can be tough because the Cal is well coached. They do a nice job. That's a long trip if it's all the way out there. That's a long trip. You can't go any further than that. Miami to Cal, there's nowhere else to go. So that could be a tough one for them.
Hey, Doug, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
All right, Patrick. Take care.
All right. We'll hit a break, come back, and wrap things up with some news and notes on the Patrick Johnson Show. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3. The guy,
the Hump Day edition. The Hump Day edition of the Patrick Johnson Show.
Thank you, Pilkington, for line. We'll be back.
We're down to the final days of our summer sales event at Greenville Toyota.
Lease new RAV4s, $319 a month. Test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage.
It's your last chance to save at Greenville Toyota.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Let's go! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Football time!
Set the tone.
Kyle, take your shoes, take your shoes. Yeah, good job. Woo!
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Summer is here, and Sawyer's Fun Park is having a toddler summer special. From 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday, Sawyer's has a $10 2-hour unlimited pass for ages 2 to 4. That's one toddler and one parent for just $10 every weekday morning. Sawyer's Fun Park summer hours are Monday through Thursday from 10 to 8, Fridays and Saturdays from 10 to 9, and Sundays from 12 to 8. Book your tickets online at SawyersFunPark.com and beat the heat this summer at Sawyer's Fun Park.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Hurry, the summer savings event is coming to an end. Don't miss your chance.
Enjoy your summer in a new Corolla for just $219 a month, or a Highlander for only $399 a month. Got a trade? Get cash for it, or trade for a new Toyota.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
At State, it's after classes will remain canceled until at least October 15th. Lee's McRae, which is up around Banner Elk, and my brother actually went to school there a couple years before he transferred to UNCW. Their campus is closed and will not be back until maybe next semester at the earliest. So that's another part of this kind of ongoing issue out there, or the colleges and universities. You got Western. I don't know if Cullowhee suffered as much damage, but I mean, you just don't know. There's not a whole lot coming out of there in certain areas. And UNC Asheville, I think, is doing a few things, but obviously Asheville and Buncombe County took quite a hit. So they'll be at night church tomorrow. It is part of the east to west supply restock that is going on, and they are in the process right now of loading up a fifth trailer to have it pulled out there, and they want to make sure that they do that, and they'll be collecting goods out there through Friday, so that'll be happening. The Astros, as Pilkey had told you at the bottom of the hour, eliminated. Detroit advances on. And I when you read that, Pilk, I thought Ding Dong, the witch is dead.
I know, right? I mean, not only are they the big, bad, cheating Astros, but 7 ALCS appearances in a row is pretty spectacular. And now they're gone. And now, obviously, that means that the Tigers will go on to Cleveland. The only problem with this is this make the Yankees bid to the World Series an easier run without the Astros, who are the historic Yankee killers. That's the one thing that worries me. I don't want to watch the darn Yankees in the World Series.
Right. Well, that's what baseball wants. Baseball is dying to have an L.A. New York World Series.
If the Dodgers and the Yankees played in the World Series, I would pray that they would go 0-0 for so long that both teams just forfeited and quit.
No, you'd have the Ghost Man. You get to put the Ghost Man on at some point,
and they
right?
still wouldn't score. That's what I would pray for. You're right, it would happen, but I would pray that nobody scored and all the pitchers quit, and then they put all the position players in and they quit pitching and nobody scored, and then both teams forfeited. I can't stand either of those teams.
I've heard this discussed a little bit on Dan Patrick today. With Pete Rose's dying, there's this even further push that he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think as time goes on, there will be a movement where Bonds and Clemens, McGuire maybe go into the Hall, and they should. I mean, what they did as players,
your boy Sosa.
Bonds, I don't know if Sammy Sosa is a Hall of Famer. I'd personally like to see it, but I just don't. I don't know if you can make a case for what Sammy did outside of the steroid era, the alleged steroid use. McGuire, yes. Clemens, yes. Bonds, yes. What they did outside of that juicing era is Hall of Fame worthy, obviously. And I think Socha should warrant some consideration. I just don't know if he – but, I think eventually they wind up there. There's no justification or no justice served, I should say, for this situation with Houston. They're going to forever be branded cheaters. You don't feel like that they got their just desserts. Yeah, the GM and the manager lost their jobs. But, I mean, did they really get punished? No players got punished. No players sat out any time.
No. I mean, Cora was an assistant coach, and he had to sit out a year when he was with the Sox from what he did there. And then also the Sox got in some trouble. But, yeah, none of the players – I mean, it's not like the championship got taken away like USC's football one did.
Right, like the NCAA would have. So I think that's why people are really reveling in the fact that the Astros got bounced by Detroit. What's the score of the other game going on right now, Phil? What we got?
Hang on. Let me look at my phone. I'm watching it, but it just went to commercial, and I think it's still 1-0. Yeah, into 4, 1-0 KC.
Okay. All right, back in the morning on Talk of the Town, and then back here at 4 tomorrow. Head of the Logan Zone. Great show tomorrow. We're going to have D.H. Conley football coach Nate Connor. Always great to have him on. And John Feinstein, the best-selling author, will be with us tomorrow. All right, that'll do it. Have a great rest of your evening. Thanks to Phil Pilkington. Thanks to Doug Martin, Patrick Johnson.